Alright team, the new live letter has been announced, and with that news comes speculation, so gather around and let us speculate Ultimate number 5. Just a few disclaimers, this is all speculation. I have no actual facts other than the knowledge that this is probably Omega themed. This is just meant to be a fun, speculative video where we can guess, theory craft, and really just have a good time. Also, Stormblood story spoilers, so this is your one and only warning. With that out of the way, let's get started. So it is pretty safe to assume that Ultimate number 5 will be Omega themed. If we follow the pattern, that is what makes the most sense. Typically we get a raid themed Ultimate, followed by a main story themed one. So Omega is next. What could we see? Well, I think it's important to lock down the number of phases first. Now, the devs have openly said that they probably won't match the difficulty, thinking they may have just gone a little tad bit too far in DSR. So I'm a little apprehensive to guess, but if I really did have to guess, probably 5 to 7 phases sounds about right. So in terms of bosses, I would be shocked if X-Death was not included in this ultimate fight. Maybe not the first boss, maybe somewhere in the middle. Either way, I think it's safe to say he's a lock. As well as Kefka. I mean, Kefka makes the most sense. He's very popular. He's the end boss of the second tier. I would be very shocked if he was not included. Now, there's one more boss that I also think is a absolute lock for this raid, and that is going to be Midgard Sommer. I mean, he's just really integral to that entire story. It would make the most sense. That being said, there is one more boss who I am a little apprehensive to say is a lock, but I would personally like to see, and I think makes sense, and that's Chaos. I mean, it's Chaos, guys. It's literally, it's Mr. Final Fantasy boss. That being said, I think the order could go something like X-Death, Kefka, maybe Chaos if he's included. Midgard Sommer should be the fight right before we fight Omega. That's what makes the most sense. So when it comes to Omega, there are 3 Omega forms in this game. There is the Roomba, there is the human forms, and then there is the more weapon-looking form. It kind of looks like Ultima Weapon, Ruby Weapon. So I think it's safe to assume that we'll either see the Roomba form or the human form, maybe both. I'm not entirely sure because there are 3 different phases to pull from. Now, in terms of that final phase, they do like to surprise us with some big, grandiose final phase. You know, Dragon King Thornton, Golden Bahamut, Alexander Prime. Now, if I had to guess on that final phase, I would say it's probably going to be the more Ultima-looking Omega, and that's probably going to be more like the Savage form. And my best comparison would actually be from Uwu. You know, if you remember then, Ultimate Weapon, you know, absorbs all the primals, does get a glow up, but I don't think we're going to see something like Dragon King Thornton or Alexander Prime, where it's basically a whole new boss. I'm not really sure what that would be. That being said, there is one other thing, and this is probably not going to happen. I would be shocked if it did, but you know, I think it'd be cool if they included Shinryu into this fight, because I mean, if you look at the history of FF, they have been rivals since their introduction in FF5. It would make a lot of sense. So maybe there could be a phase where you're fighting Omega like on Baelsar's wall, and Shinryu is kind of in the background somewhere, or he's like a stage hazard, or even better, kind of like phase 6 of DSR, they're like facing each other, and one mechanic of that could be they kind of trade blows. So, you know, you have to bring the tether to Omega, so Shinryu's tag hits Omega, and like vice versa, and like that kind of thing. I think it could be pretty neat. Now, if you did want to make it more lore friendly, you could swap out Omega for Midgard Sommer. I can actually see that happening. I could see them including Midgard Sommer and Omega in the same phase. That's more tinfoil hat. That's more of me and my wild imagination. And with that being said, we went over the bosses that could be included, kind of phases there could be. What do you think the next Ultimate will be? Could you imagine if it wasn't even Omega themed and they just like pull out Good King Mukamog Ultimate? Like, boy, would I look dumb. Jokes aside, do you think I'm close? Not at all. Love to hear it in the comments. This is all speculation, so speculate away. Thank you so much for watching and take care.